All right, let's talk about one of the weirdest, most mysterious things we all do every single night. Dreaming. Now, what if I told you that all those bizarre images and stories aren't just random static? What if your brain is actually trying to talk to you in its own secret language? Let's figure out how to start listening.
You know the one I'm talking about, right? That dream, the one that keeps coming back. Maybe you're flying, maybe you're being chased down a narrow alley, or maybe, for some reason, you're back in high school about to take a test you never studied for. We've all been there. But why? Why that dream over and over again?
Well, the reason is actually pretty simple, but it's also kind of mind-blowing. Those dreams are repeating because your mind is trying to get a message through to you. It's literally speaking a language. And, just like any other language, it has its own vocabulary and its own grammar. And if we can learn the rules, we can actually start to understand what it's trying to say.
So that's our first stop. We're going to try to unlock the grammar of your inner world. We'll look at why these specific images and feelings show up on repeat and how they actually build the entire landscape of our minds.
Okay, think of dream symbols like this. They're super efficient little packages of data. I mean, one single image in a dream, say a house, it's not just a house. It's carrying emotional energy. It's connected to old memories. It's holding unresolved tension. It's all of that compressed into one symbol. Your brain loves to reuse them because they're just incredibly powerful tools for keeping itself balanced.
Every language has to start somewhere, right? We're the first word. Well, it turns out our dream language is exactly the same. There's often a really powerful core symbol, something that gets locked in when we're kids that becomes the foundation for everything that comes later. And I've got a perfect example of this.
I mean, wow, just picture that for a second. This wasn't even a dream at night. It was a waking vision. This constant, comforting little pigeon companion. Now, this wasn't just some random fantasy. For this person, that pigeon became a powerful emotional stabilizer, a living symbol of friendship and freedom that was getting hardwired deep into their mind. And that right there, that is a perfect example of what researchers call a fundamental motif. That pigeon became the prototype, the original symbol. And this is the key, that early dream word created a blueprint that this person's brain would use for the rest of their life to process really big themes like freedom, safety, and connection.
Okay, so we've got our first word. How does that grow into sentences, into whole stories? Well, these symbols don't just pop up randomly. No way. Turns out they follow a very specific rhythm, a cycle that's directly tied to whatever emotional stuff we're grappling with in our day-to-day lives.
This chart here really nails it. The source calls this concept residence time, which is just a fancy way of saying how long a particular stress or emotion sticks around. So a small daily annoyance, it might show up in a dream once and then poof, it's gone. But those bigger things, stress from your job, drama with friends, those can create dreams that come back in cycles for months. And those really deep, fundamental motifs, like our friend the pigeon, they can hang around for your entire life because they're woven into the very fabric of who you are.
And get this, a single symbol is never just about one thing. It's layered, kind of like ancient rock. On the very top layer, you've got the immediate stuff, what happened yesterday. But if you dig down a bit, you'll find it connects to older memories that have the same emotional flavor. Go even deeper, and it plugs right into your recurring personal themes, like a constant feeling of being under pressure. And then way down at the bedrock, that's where you find those fundamental structures, your first dream words, like that pigeon.
So, we have these individual layered symbols, but how do they all fit together? It's not just a random jumble. Dreams have their own kind of logic, and symbols tend to group together into what some researchers call ecosystems.
Let's start with the bird ecosystem. You can see the evolution so clearly here. That childhood pigeon, the symbol of freedom, it grows up with you. In adulthood, it might morph into dreams where you're flying, or dreams where you're breaking out of a locked room. See, they look totally different on the surface, but they're all part of the same symbolic family, all trying to express that deep need for freedom and control.
Okay, here's another huge one, the architecture ecosystem. Ever dream about new buildings going up, or wandering through a construction site, or renovating a house? It's almost never about actual real estate. It's your mind creating a metaphor for rebuilding your own identity or changing your worldview. It's a powerful symbol for personal growth.
And, of course, we have to talk about the obstacle ecosystem. Oh yeah, these are the classics, the stress dreams, being stuck in a tight space, finding your path is completely blocked, or that frantic search for a bathroom that you can never quite find. All of these tap into those raw feelings of pressure, of being threatened, and that awful sense that you're about to be emotionally overwhelmed.
So what's the actual science behind all this? Well, there are a couple of big ideas that help explain it. One model basically sees symbols as little packets of unresolved emotional energy, or strain. If the dream keeps coming back, it just means that energy hasn't been dealt with yet. Another theory sees symbols as the magical bridge between our waking life and our dream life. It's the place where a static idea of a bird can transform into the pure feeling of flight.
And this brings us to the really important question. So what? This isn't just a cool thought experiment. Understanding this language is an incredibly powerful tool for figuring yourself out and maybe even for a bit of self-healing.
And here's the really encouraging part. You don't have to learn some massive, complicated new dictionary. The research suggests that most of us only have between 5 and 12 core dream themes. That's it. Your personal dream language has a surprisingly small vocabulary, which means it's totally manageable to learn.
Now get this. The source material makes a really bold claim, and it's this. Dreams cannot lie. They might use weird, distorted images, sure, but they can't lie about the feeling. And why is that? Because dreams happen in a part of the mind that's beneath all our conscious filters. You know, our ego, our social masks. They show us the raw, unfiltered emotional truth. The scenery might be bizarre, but the feeling is always, always real.
So what's the whole point of this nightly movie marathon? Well, you can think of it as a kind of self-healing algorithm that runs every night. Your brain is testing out different solutions to problems, it's releasing and rebalancing emotional energy, and it's literally reorganizing its understanding of the world and who you are. Dreaming is basically your mind's essential nightly maintenance work.
So, we've seen how dreams are so much more than random noise. They're a language, from our very first dream words all the way to these complex ecosystems of meaning. But this isn't just some abstract theory, it's your own personal code, and it's just waiting for you to start cracking it. Which really just leaves one big question for you to think about. What was your first dream word?